Hi, I'm Robin Keehn, and I'm a Simply Music teacher in Washington State. Today I'm going to go on and give you the second section of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. I want to let you know that this is a bit of a challenging part of the piece, so we're just going to take a small amount, and I want to make sure that you know to process this in very small pieces and master the parts before I move on to the next part. Let's get started.
If you're using the version from freescores.com, it's going to be much more complex than what I'm demonstrating here. The book I'm working from is The World's Greatest Classical Music, Beethoven, published by Hal Leonard. This next section is rather complex, and we're going to look at a few approaches to process the next 20 or so measures. In the first section, you might remember that we finished on a C minor chord with both the right and the left hands. In the right hand, that C minor chord was inverted, like this, and in the left hand, we just ended on this note. From here, we're going to invert this chord again by taking the E flat here and putting it on the bottom, and just opening up and playing the E flat with the C. We're going to start by playing that G just once, and then this new chord twice. These 10 measures have an awful lot going on, and within each measure there are 3 distinct patterns. I want to pull them apart and show them to you. If we can see what is happening piece by piece, it will help us navigate this passage. Let's start with the left hand. We're going to begin by just playing a C octave, and the octave is bass C and low C. We're going to play this octave 4 times and then rest, like this. We'll do it one more time. And then we're going to move up, so this becomes our lowest note, and we're going to reach out here for an octave and pull it down 1 note. So get your hand in this octave position, but bring your thumb down to the B. You're going to keep finger 5 on bass C for a long time, but the top note or notes will be changing. So you're going to move down a number of steps, beginning with a B natural, and then a B flat, and then an A flat, each time playing that bass C. When we play this A flat, what I really want you to do is play the A flat with finger 2 and play the C above it with your thumb so that you're playing a chord. So here we go. We're going to start with this B natural, B flat, and then the A flat with the C, which makes a chord. The next event is a C octave. Keep the C's that you already have in your fingers, but add an E natural so you're playing a C chord, inverted. The next step is right back to that C octave, but this time with the A flat. We're going to end by playing a big chord using what you've already played, but add an F as well. So the notes are C octave with F and A flat. So that is the left hand for this section of the piece. Now let's have a look at what's happening in the treble clef at the same time. We're going to be playing a series of chords, but I find that seeing the patterns that make up the constantly shifting landscape can make sense of what's happening. We're going to start by looking at the bottom notes of each chord in each measure. Before we begin, do you know what an E flat scale looks like? In Simply Music, we don't play scales necessarily, but in this case, knowing what notes belong in the family of E flat will come in handy. So let's take a little look at that. If you're a Simply Music student, you already know what 1, 4, and 5 chords look like. So let's look at those in the key of E flat. The 1 chord, E flat, the 4 chord, A flat, and the 5 chord is B flat. If you were to actually play each of those chords and make a list of what notes belonged in each of those chords, you would know every note that belongs in the key of E flat, which is pretty cool. So let's have a look at those notes. The notes are E flat, F, G, A flat, B, C, and D. In this section of Beethoven's Fifth, we are going to move up these notes using our right hand, finger 1, from the E flat, just above middle C, to the E flat, just above treble C, like this. Now let's have a look at what's happening above that ascent that I just showed you. We're going to play a pattern that repeats as we move through this section. Basically, the pattern is play the note above it, and the note below it. we're going to start with our fifth finger on treble C. So we're going to play the C, the note below it, which is the B natural, and the note above it, which is D. Now we're going to play D, the note below it, the note above it in the key signature, which is E flat, and D. And now we're going to play E flat, the note below it, and the note above it, which is F. Then the note below F, which is E natural, and the G, the F, the A flat, the G, the note and we are going to end right there. So all of this is happening while this bottom note is going through the E flat scale. So let's see if we can put this together. Here is the first right hand chord. It's the C minor chord that we finished the last section with. The top note starts the pattern of play, below, and above. So if you watch with this E flat here, we're going to play C, B, and D. So we're going to combine that now. And so forth. So let's start with the first right hand chord. It's the C minor chord we finished the last section with. The top note starts a pattern of play, below, and above. So it is C, natural B, and D. At the same time, your left hand plays a C octave right after you play the first C in the right hand, like this. And then you're going to play the B natural, and then the D with one more C octave. When you play the next right hand pattern, do it the same way. Play the D octave, play the D in the right hand, followed by the C octave in the left hand 3 times. And then play the C octave one last time when you play the note below D. Take your left hand and move it into the new position that we talked about a few minutes ago. Finger 5 will be on bass C and finger 1 will be on B natural. We're going to move through each of these positions. With each one we will play the pattern of play, below, and above. When you've mastered that, I want you to play the play below note twice with each position. Your last position for this section will have you playing the full C minor chord in the left hand with the C minor chord in the right hand. The correct position for the right hand will be thumb on E flat above treble C, finger 2 on G, and finger 4 on high C. This will be the new position for the start of the final section. So let's have a look at how this all comes together. So I'm going to start with this very first instruction that I gave you today, which is to play the G once and this inverted C chord 3 times. I move up and I'm going to start going through this process. I began here. I'm going to work my way up with my thumb while I play the pattern of play, below, and above. So here we go. And that's how it comes together.